Hey everyone, and happy New Year's Eve. Today is going to be my last video of 2019, and it is all about my most disappointing reads that I've read this year. Now, of course, these aren't the worst books, but they are books that were either super hyped up or books that I really thought I would enjoy and would be 5-star books, and they only ended up being middle of the road, not really great, but not super terrible either. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in, and let's get to my most disappointing reads of 2019. I've got 11 books to talk to you about today. We're going to jump right in at number 11, which is Dating in the Dark by Alexandria Bishop. This book was one that I found at Half Price Books. I was super excited to read. It was such a unique concept. It's a trilogy, and it is about a girl who goes on to a blind dating in the dark scenario. Her sister and her best friend sign her up for it, saying that, she's like this 30-year-old who works at a call center and basically has no life, and they're trying to go ahead and get her out there. And so she goes on these dates, and they're absolutely outrageous. Like, one of them thinks he's a vampire, and just like some crazy shit that happens. And it's pretty funny. But she ends up, the only guy that she connects with ends up being her boss. And of course she doesn't know it because they're in the dark and they have this really sweet connection. And her boss is kind of an asshole in the workplace and treats her badly. And it is their story. This book was cute. I was really, really hoping for something more. The writing was just okay to me. There was a lot of parts in this book that felt like it was just a plot instead of the full actual book, and it just wasn't that well done. I'm really sad about this, but this book will be going, I don't know, to Goodwill or something. All right, coming in at number 10 is going to be one of my most controversial books, I think. It's going to be Colty by Mariana Zapata. Don't get me wrong, I love this book. It is a 4-star book for me. I really enjoyed this book. But there's one reason why this is in my most disappointing reads, and that is the amount of times this author has typed the word poop into one book. I'm not kidding. The orange tabs are the amount of times that she's typed in the word poop. And it's not just like, oh, poop. You know what I mean? Like, this is just an example. Poop, 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 poop. She does that like 15,000 times throughout this book. And I just want to scream if I ever see that word again. Coming in at number 9 is 44 Chapters About 4 Men by B.B. Easton. This book is interesting. So basically, it's not necessarily just a romance. Like, it is literally about her life. Like, she's literally writing about her and her husband and their lackluster sex. And I thought that was going to be super funny, and it was. But she also writes about her ex-boyfriends in it, and I just started feeling bad for her husband. Like, really, really bad for her husband. And I'm sure he gave her permission and all of that, but it just kind of got a little awkward for me. I'm still really excited to watch the Netflix show of this. If you don't know, this is becoming a Netflix series, and I am really excited to watch that, but there were some parts that I laughed out loud, like it was really funny and stuff. But overall, I was just kind of cringed by it. And it was just kind of middle of the road for me. Coming in at number 8 is Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren. Once again, this book is just okay. It started out really cute. And, it was about 2 main characters who, when they're 18, they meet each other. They're in London. It's on vacation. And she ends up confiding in the main guy about something that she hasn't told anybody. And he basically lets her secret out to the entire world for money. And to me, there's just no coming back from that. Once you lose somebody's trust, like, that's super hard to gain back. And I felt like there just wasn't enough groveling. There wasn't enough, like, real hard discussion about something like that. It just seemed a little cheesy at the end to me. I really didn't enjoy this book overall. It was okay, not that great. Coming in at number 7 is On the Island by Tracy Garvis Graves. I think every one of us was reading this book this summer. It just seemed like all of our BookTube favorite people were reading it. It was just everywhere, and I really wanted to read it myself. Unfortunately, this book was boring. So boring. And they say that it's supposed to be taboo because she's his teacher and he's a kid, but like nothing happens. I'm sorry, like there's no taboo in this book. It is just boring. The island part of this just seemed absolutely ridiculous, unlikely to happen. I was just bored. Coming in at number 6 is On the Plus Side by Tabitha Fargo. And can we not have a main fat girl who is not like hating her body or like disgusted with it or frustrated by it? Or I am so tired. Okay, look, first of all, I'm a fat girl. I'll admit it. I am. It is what it is. Do I enjoy being fat? Not necessarily, but it's life and it's my body, and I know that I've got a pretty face, and I'm not embarrassed about the fact that I know that. And this book just annoyed the hell out of me because the main character, every other time she talked about herself, it's all about how big she was. And it's like, okay, but there's so many other aspects of your life that does not evolve around your body. Like, get over it, lady. And I'm sorry. I'm so tired of it. I really, really want some good, like, body image of a big girl who gets the guy, who has the relationship. Like, why don't we have more of those kind of books instead of it all being focused? Just because it's a big girl doesn't mean you have to hate your body. I'm sorry. I don't understand why this trope with plus-size women all has to be centered around the fact that they're fat. I mean, come on. Okay, you can talk about your curves and stuff without having to go into the fact that you're fat. Coming in at number 5 is The Wrong Game by Candy Steiner. This book was a love triangle that was not done, in my opinion, right. I really hated this main character, the female. I did not like her, not even in the slightest. I thought she was annoying and rude and treated the hero like he was just utter crap. I did not like this book in the least, and this is really sad because I totally love football romances. Candy is obviously a hit or miss author for me. She's in my best books of the year, she's in my worst books of the year, and now she's in my most disappointing books of the year. So she is literally all over the place for me. Coming in at number 4 is The Unnie Mooners by Christina Lauren. This book just wasn't for me. In fact, I think these authors are just not for me. I have read a lot of Christina Lauren books. I will continue. There's 2 more books that I'm really specifically wanting to read, and that is Love in Other Words and Autobiography by them, to see if maybe those 2 can work out for me. But so far, every book that I have read by this author has just been 3 stars. Like literally everyone. I'm not a huge fan of this book. This book was so similar to Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. It was okay. It was a little boring to me. I wasn't crazy about the main character at all. I thought she was really annoying. I just didn't like this book as much as I was really hoping to. Everybody hyped this book up, and I just didn't like it. Coming in at number 3 is Say You'll Stay by Corinne Michaels. And this was my first Corinne Michaels book. I was so excited to try this author. Everybody's been hyping this author up. And this book was just kind of boring to me. It started out really sad and really interesting. The main character, like, this is not like a huge spoiler because it happens at the very beginning of the book, but the main character's husband commits suicide, and she has 2 kids and now has to move home because they literally have no money. That's the reason why he commits suicide, is because they are like broke. And so she moves home with her parents, and of course she has her first love, who is in her hometown. She never goes to it. Her first love left and broke her heart whenever she was 18, promised he'd come for her, and then I never did, or something like that. It's been a while since I've read this, I won't lie. But it is their second chance romance, and it was just a little boring. It didn't really catch my attention. I was hurrying up, trying to skim to find out what happened. It is a second chance romance, and I'm actually not a huge fan of second chance romance. I've learned this year, if it's done really, really well, then I can like it, but this was just, it was okay. Coming in at number 2 is The Trouble with Love by Claire Contreras. All right, so The Trouble with Love by Claire Contreras is just an okay book to me. This is another one of those new to me authors that has been really hyped up. I am going to try another book by this author very soon, but this book had all of the tropes that I thought I would love in a book. I mean, it's like your brother's best friend is the guy that you end up with. She is like an apps genius person, and so she's very close with her brother, and they have this whole connection. It's her brother's in like the NFL. I mean, there's just tons of things that I would love in a book, but this book ended up not being that great. I won't lie, I didn't connect with the characters. The storyline just kind of was average. The main thing is that I am a character-driven reader, and if I cannot connect with the characters, there's really no point in me reading the book, and that is what happened with this case. I just did not connect with their love story. I didn't connect with either of the characters. The book just was not for me. And coming in at number 1 is The Bromance Book Club by Lisa K. Adams. This book was obviously so hyped. I was so excited for this book because it is all about a guy who is about to lose his wife and is trying to win her back. And by winning her back, he's reading a romance book and trying to put the moves on her. This book was obviously written by a woman, and it is about men who are supposed to be like in baseball, but it was about it. It was way too flowery. That's what I'm trying to get at. This book was ridiculously flowery. Like, the guys, when they're talking, they like have all these beautiful quotes and sayings, and this is shit guys would never say. Like, it just was not that good. I'm sorry. It just wasn't that good. I really wanted to like it. I really thought I would like it. The premise was amazing. The idea for this book, awesome. It just wasn't executed very well. Okay, so that's it. That is my most disappointing reads this year. What are your most disappointing reads? Is there any in my list that you absolutely loved? Let me know. And I will see you guys back tomorrow for January 2020.